Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in the East Neuk of Fife and I'm going to take a walk around the beautiful little harbour town of Anstruther. I hope you like it. Let's go for a walk. So I'm just going to have a walk down through Anstruther village. The road behind me takes you to Leven, back down the coast, but I'm going to go down this little road here straight ahead to have a walk down through the village. Little narrow footpaths. At some point you actually have to walk out on the road. There's no footpath at all, so we'll keep that in mind. Anyway, let's whiz the camera round and start the wee walk. So I'm just walking down the hill here. It's each side of the road is just traditional old buildings, very old village. And the first thing we come to on the left is the Dreel Tavern. Quite a nice menu in there. Got a little beer garden. A nice wee spot to sit and have a pint or two. And that's just on the way into the village. Now when I was walking about here yesterday, I was just trying to get a look at some of the things that might be worthwhile pointing out. And there's a couple of things that we'll show you as we go. Quite a lot of traffic about, cutting in and out. First of all, I want to cut down this little side road because there is a nice little feature that's worth looking at if you're in the area, but you need to get your timing right. This little sign caught my eye yesterday, and it made me think, you know, this house is called the Old Manse. There you go, look, 1703. You know, hundreds and hundreds of years this building's been here. And some people would say it's older than America. Now, we know it's not, because America's obviously been there for millions of years. It just wasn't called America. It always makes me laugh when people say that these houses are older than America. What they mean is the country, I suppose, when the country was established. But you know, that's it's amazing to think that house has been there since 1700s. Anyway, so down to this little car park, and you'll see down these little stairs here, we've got a causeway that you can walk across when the tide is out. Now it is a wee bit whiffy. Yesterday the sun was shining and the seaweed was a bit stinky, but that's alright. So yeah, so the tide comes in here and it covers this up, and last night when I was going out for dinner, I managed to cut across here. It was 2 minutes past 6 in the evening and it was just beginning to be covered. So just check the tidal times if you're going to come down this way. But it saves you a walk round the town. However, as we are not looking to save any time today, I want to take you round the town and walk through the main bits so you can get a look at it in all its glory without taking any shortcuts. So I've just come at the harbour wall here, and that's the little town of Anstruther. All the way along there, little harbour town, traditional seaside, fishing village really, with a fairly big harbour that's become quite a modern marina. You know, the time has caught up with Anstruther and it's now one of those fashionable places where you can keep your boat. And as we walk past the harbour, you'll see what I mean. let's continue the walk. So just walking back up from the Causeway, back up to the main road. Very narrow little streets. And something else you'll notice along the way is when we get to some of the older parts, how low the doorways are. You know, I'm only 5'6" and a wee dod, and I have to bend down to get into some of the doorways. But yeah, just on the corner here, you'll see this house is all decorated with shells. Now, again, excuse the traffic. There's a lot of traffic cutting through here today. Yeah, so we looked up on that yesterday, and we believe that somewhere around 1692, Robert Louis Stevenson actually came and put some shells on that. I don't know when it was started before that, but it's one of these little things that has obviously been built up over the decades and centuries. And it's just a nice little feature to look out for. Just across the road, we've got the little cemetery here. I'm not going to go in there, but these are always peaceful places to just have a walk around. Very, very small cemetery, and it is a Commonwealth war grave. So that means that someone died in the war who lived here, and they're buried there. So just coming round here, past the church. The Drill Halls, this little building it's called. So this part is Dreelside. Now there's an interesting little box in the ground here. Let's just see what it says. So Reverend James Forrester, 1791. There's a stone coffin which has stood exposed to the injuries of the weather. Time immemorial. In the churchyard. Tradition says it once contained the relics of Saint Adrian. So who was Saint Adrian? Do you know who Saint Adrian was? If you do, let us know in the comments. And then there's some sort of commemorative stones here. This one's in Anstruther. Now that's what the locals call Anstruther. It's Anstruther. A bit about the graveyard and a bit about the church. So, nice peaceful place to come and sit with a seat overlooking the harbour there. So just continuing round here. Pretty little river running down into the Firth of Forth. And some buildings up there. So this is the bit I was telling you about where we're walking up here and the footpath just stops. So you have to actually step out on the road here to get past. We'll just get back onto the footpath here. Nice to see these buildings all finished. These lay empty for a long, long time. And they've all been converted into houses. And people live in them now, which is great. So we're just coming into Anstruther proper now. Now if I look up here, if I go up here just to the roundabout, which I'm not going to do, that's the road to St Andrews up on the left there, and you'll see the signs just on the roundabout there. St Andrews, 9 miles, and there is a big co-op supermarket up there as well. Now, a sign that you probably won't see on this is the secret bunker. It's 4 miles. If you're ever in the area, that's something that's worth looking out for. And it was one of these hidden buildings that were going to be used in the event of a war. And it's just a tiny little farmhouse. And then in the bottom of the farmhouse underneath, there's a massive underbuild of offices and dormitories and you know, a big hub, communications hub, where important people, politicians, etc. could go to survive a nuclear war. It's a fascinating place to go and visit if you're ever in the area. So have a look at that. So anyway, I'm going to walk back down here and walk down into Anstruther, or Anstruther. The Bank Hotel, fantastic food in there, great range of beers. Well worth popping in if you're in the area. Lovely little beer garden down the back. So just cutting down this little side street here. Little shop on the left here is the Community Kist, and it sells all sorts of second-hand stuff. It's normally all spilled out on the pavement, but it's not here today. So yeah, so just some traditional little shops. Just as I look round here. So coming down from the top there's a Barber's, there's another Barber's, and there's a kind of second-hand kind of shop at the top of the street. Little munchies of Anstruther here. And then it's nice to see this one open again, the Harbour Inn, and then Morrison's Bar next door. And these were all closed for a number of years. Just going to cross over. So a little closed shop in the corner, a cider shop, a bar and tastings, little opticians, and then East Neuk Pharmacy here. There's always a little pharmacy. Used to be a couple of banks down here, one on either side of the street, but they're now both closed. I don't know if there's a bank actually left here. But then we've got a little gift and clothes shop there, tucked away in the corner. And this is the other side of that little causeway that I showed you over there. So you'll see over there is those stairs that led down to the stepping stones that I showed you earlier on. And a wee bit of beach here as well. So let's carry on. I need to show you this. Getting missed by the truck, don't want to do that. So here we have, this little shop sells bits and bobs for your house. And then we've got the Wee Chippy, great fish and chips in there. Now everybody tends to go to the Anstruther Fish Bar at the other end of the town. You know, it's queued out the door. But for my money, this one's every bit as good. We've always had great fish and chips. Takeaway entrances up the side there if you're interested. And there's 2 or 3 little property shops, estate agents. And this is a hostel here. I'm sure that used to be the snooker hall many years ago. And then we've got little this and that, fancy goods, bits and bobs, and a cracking little baker's. Great food in there. Butcher's in the corner, and the Eastern Touch is the Indian restaurant. It's superb. We ate in there last night. It's great. Then we've got a few shops here. I'm going to cross over actually because you can see them better from the other side. This usually signifies the old market. So the Mercat. Is that correct? Do you know, is this the old Mercat cross for the market? Again, let me know in the comments. So yeah, just we've got the Shellfish Shack, which is shut down, unfortunately. Little flower shop. And I'll just scan over here to the the first part of the harbour, because it kind of breaks into two. You've got the older part and then the new, more modern part. And this old boat has been here for donkey's years. I'm sure it used to sit floating in the water, but for some reason now it's been washed up. So probably one of the old fishing boats, I would have thought. Is that right? Was it an old fishing trawler? Let me know in the comments if you know. So nice little marina here. Not the prettiest looking beach, I have to say. It's just stones and seaweed. And the water looks quite dirty, but on a nice sunny day it does look great. Plenty of boats in there. So Masonic Arms, another one of these very traditional pubs. And then we've got a few newer, fancier places. So Coast, filled rolls, light meals, takeaway food, breakfast, etc. It's always very popular. Just little public toilets here, but bear in mind, it's 30p for a pee. If you need to do a pee in there, it's 30p. So then across the road, fish and chips on the waterfront. Little vintage tea room. Waterfront restaurant, we're going for dinner there tonight, so I'm sure that'll be fine. Empty shop. Bread in bottles. Now that used to be a little whisky shop, but it looks as though they've opened up to beers, wines, spirits, and homewares and stuff like that as well. Another little bazaar shop. Then the oak tree gifts. And another new one that's opened up here. Ox and Anchor. We had a look at the menu online for that and it really looks nice, but it's not been open yet. Then we've got the big ice cream parlour and a big pharmacy here. I'm just going to cut across, we'll pick this back up in a second, we'll go back across to the other side to have a look at the harbour. So you need a key and a pass to get in there. But you can see there's quite a few boats of all sort of shapes here. One's for sale, but it's actually emptier than it was the last time we were here. But nice little harbour to sit. So, pick up where we left off. We have the Turkish takeaway, Dervish. Then another wee empty shop. Then another wee set of gifts and cards shop, homewares, etc. You'll probably see that there, that another old building here just above the doorway here. Let's see if we can get it in. Don't know if it comes out clear. It's 1883 that building was. And then we've got another big ice cream shop, Bratisani's. And then this is actually a world famous Anstruther Fish Bar. Fish and chip takeaway of the year. Many times. Great food awards. And then, as I say, they've got the little ice cream shop next to it. But for our money, I think the other Wee Chippy's is good. Then we've got Harbour Break Lounge, that's quite new. And then a great wee pub on the corner here, the Ship Tavern. Great little place, we often go in there. Then just carrying along past the end of the harbour here, we've got the Scottish Fisheries Museum. So if you're interested in having a look at the history of Anstruther, have a look in there. And then just on the other side of the road here, you've got these little pleasure cruises to the Isle of May. So Isle of May is here, it's a bird sanctuary, there's lots of seals around in it. It's a nice place to go and, you know, have a wee look. All these different kind of animals that you can spot if you're into nature. So keep that in mind. There's a little carnival at the end there. I'm not going to bother with that. That's just setting up for the summer. Then the RNLI, so Royal Navy Lifeboat Institute. I've got a lifeboat here and a little shop. And then just coming up to the far end, we have what used to be the Sun Tavern, which sadly again is closed. Then that's the Fisheries Museum again. Little dental practice. There's a boatyard just at the end here. I don't know how many of these businesses are still open, but some of them don't look as if they've been open for a while. And then the final building on the corner, where we'll finish off the walk through Anstruther, is Stuart Barton Physiotherapy and Fitness. Now that used to be a big estate agent, I remember, but not anymore. And if you choose, you can walk right out around the harbour wall. If you want to take a walk down there and have a look at it, and then there's a tiny little lighthouse there. So that's a walk through Anstruther. Quite a traditional, just old fishing village. One of many which are dotted along the Firth of Forth. The body of water you see me is the Firth of Forth, and on the other side will be sort of Edinburgh and moving down that coast. So it's a smashing place to come for a few days. We love coming here just for a battery recharge, you know, 3 or 4 days, having a wander and getting a bite to eat and just soaking up a bit of history. So if you're ever in the area, drop in. You might like it. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked that one. Make sure you take a minute to like and subscribe. And as always, we'll see you on the next video. Cheerio.